All right, let's get our ears on here.
I can't.
Left goes
It's
to left,
broke.
right goes to right.
Ha! Wait.
Okay. This is like literally the most rudimentary technology out there. This is like not new things.
It's broken.
All right. Here, let me get. Here, you see that? Just like that. There you go.
Whatever. I think
Okay.
you can touch.
You're good.
No,
Are you?
it's still upside down.
Have you already had too many mimosas?
It's not.
What is happening right now?
Okay.
Oh my God! We got to start the show. Are you good?
Okay.
Are you ready?
I think.
You're good.
I got
All right.
it.
Let's start the
Okay.
show. All right. Welcome to Before the Kids Wake Up. I'm Claude.
And this is Renee.
And Renee has already had too many mimosas this morning because she can't figure out her headphones.
Yo, I haven't even had but one sip because I accidentally spilled my first cup.
Yeah, no, I was going to tell that. But before we get there, because Renee's actually, next show will not have a mimosa. She's not allowed to have any liquids on the control table at all because she definitely ruined a nice $25 piece of equipment there. We're going to have to start a GoFundMe, guys. So make sure if you want to donate to Before the Kids Wake Up so that we can get a new a new audio jack, that'd be nice. There you go. Anyhow, so a little fun story about me getting your mimosas this morning. Because you were like, oh, do we have more stuff to make mimosa? And I always love when you say that. I mean, like orange juice. Like, do we have orange juice and champagne?
Champagne.
Yes. We probably have orange juice, but I don't think we have champagne. So I went to Publix this morning to get, it was like early, like 7, 8, whenever they open on Sunday, to get some champagne for you. And you definitely got me judged by some little old ladies probably going to church to get their Werther's Originals and their peppermints. Definitely looking at me like, why is this guy buying alcohol at 7 o'clock in the morning? So thanks for that, by the way. I'm quite happy.
What kind of, did they give you like a weird look or what did they do?
Yeah, like they were just like staring at me like, everything. Had the hats and everything.
Do you think maybe it wasn't because it
flowers.
was a Sunday? It's because you're like a 6'5" black man
Are you
buying
still
champagne?
hitting on me?
No, like it just didn't fit.
Wait. Big men can't drink champagne?
I mean, how often do you see?
I got champagne wishes and caviar dreams, baby.
Yeah, but not the little ones. You normally would have like.
You know why I
expensive
buy you the little ones? I buy you the little ones.
You're gonna knock over
I'm
my
sorry.
drink.
I buy you the little ones because if I don't buy you the little ones, you will literally take a whole bottle of champagne and destroy it. You will literally turn it up and destroy it.
With the little ones, I just do like a whole 6-pack of them.
Yeah, I understand. I've seen what you've done with a full thing of wine. I should start getting you little things of wine too.
But why?
Because no one should sit down and drink a whole bottle of wine by themselves.
I mean, I don't do it often. Matter of fact,
what do you consider often?
In the last couple weeks, I've actually had to dump like half bottles of wine because I haven't drank the whole thing.
Oh, did you feel your soul like drifting away from you?
Yes,
as you poured it
was really sad. That's why I need one of my friends to step it up and start coming and drinking bottles of wine with me because. Otherwise, they go to waste before you can drink them.
They
it's
do
very
not
sad.
go to. Do not listen to her. Our wine in our house does not go to waste.
I mean, not often, but it's been happening more and more often because I don't know. I'm a quitter up here.
You're becoming a quitter?
Yeah.
I think it's okay to be a quitter when it's involving alcoholism, sweetie.
Well, and sometimes you just want to drink with like maybe one glass with dinner and you don't want to drink the whole bottle.
Yeah, I have never seen you drink one glass with dinner. In fact, actually, can y'all tell me what a glass of wine is? So, like right now, this is probably right here, like a glass of wine. Renee usually fills it up to about right here.
No, wait. And when you pour them, that's how you do it. I like to make myself better about myself. I pour them like this much, and then I just keep refilling, so I don't feel quite as bad.
No judgment here. I just, I need to know when I need to check you into the Betty Ford Clinic.
I swear.
Just let me know. But yeah, how's your week been, baby?
It's been really long and stressful.
Oh, it was long for you? It was short for me.
You didn't think it was long?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like my life, like literally I'm just sitting at my desk and I get up and I'm just like, oh, look at that. It was just Monday and now it's Thursday.
Oh, no.
What the hell happened in between?
No, we had a lot that was going on. Olivia started piano lessons this week.
God, yes.
Then she had gymnastics.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, and I'm like making
just things
a
I'm
conscious
adding
effort
to the
be
bill.
back in the gym.
Just adding to that little bill that I'm going to give to her when she turns 18.
Yeah, it's getting to be long, her bill. And then I've been back in like doing yoga, trying to do yoga
yes,
regularly
Lord.
this week.
Thank God for yoga.
Yeah.
That has definitely made you less dragon lady.
I have been a little bit less mean this week, haven't I?
Yeah, yes, you have.
And I'm like breathing better and more conscious, and my hips don't hurt as bad.
No comment. No comment on that.
I'm feeling better.
But I'm glad. I think it's important to take those pause breaks when it comes to parenting. And I think a lot of people out here want to give their all to their children and to their husbands and wives and their relationships in their life. It's okay to, last week we talked about, the importance of saying FTK, that's bleep them kids, when you just have had enough. But it's also not just getting on the couch and having a glass of wine and diving into TikTok, Matt Rife TikTok for 4 hours.
No, let's not start on that, right?
It's important that you also get into something, whether it be yoga. It doesn't have to necessarily be exercise or physical, kayaking, something, painting, something that you enjoy that fills your cup. I know now some people may actually get their cup filled by sitting on the couch with TikTok and a glass and a bottle of wine for 4 hours. But I'm telling you, social media, there's studies have come out that says social media is just not good for your brain and just long drawn out periods of time. And you really have to start filling your time, people, with
and in full transparency, right? It's been 2 weeks ago, a little bit 2.5 weeks ago, I was on a downward spiral, and I caught that I was on a downward spiral. So for me, just my downward spiral is I just get overly stressed, and when that starts to happen, I stop doing things. So I stop doing things for myself, and all I'm doing is working and surviving, and I'm just not doing anything that feeds my soul or fills my cup, is kind of what I like to call it. And as that starts, I just slowly, I stopped my dog training classes. I stopped going to the gym. I stopped going to yoga. I hadn't had a girls' night in a while. I didn't have anything that was filling my cup, and I could start to feel it because I was starting to feel depressed. You're so
sorry, go ahead.
I was starting to feel like I was going into the dark space of the depression.
Right.
I didn't want to be social. Just the thought of going out and doing things was getting to me. I was snapping at Claude often.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to cry. I just felt like I wanted to cry. And the good thing is I think between therapy and then you and I working through things together is that I was able to recognize it and go, wait a minute, I've got to do something. And the other funny thing is when I start to feel like, come on, it's very hard for me to pull myself out of it.
Right.
And so, I had texted my best friend and I said, I'm not feeling very good. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do what the plans were that we had that weekend. And I said, but I think I just need to get into the gym. I think I need to go do some yoga. And she had said, the first day that you start back is the hardest, but then it's all going to just fall into line. And it really was true. So I forced myself that night. I went to yoga. I did yoga the next day, and I just started to kind of feel better. Because for me, yoga just is 1 hour where I practice just sitting in my feelings and not thinking of anything and just concentrating on me and my movement and my breath. And it really has. So now I'm on week 2 of being back at yoga, doing gym stuff, and just getting out. I had a girls' brunch yesterday.
And it's funny you bring up yoga because you mentioned that to me the other day, because I know people and things that they go and they exercise and they work out and things like that. And I'm like, well, you're not getting, because my exercise, my fitness journey, one of my goals, one of my personal goals has been that I really want to get in shape. And my weight has gone up and down and up and down and up and down my entire life. At one point I was really, really thin, and not a whole lot of muscle, just skinny. And I actually think borderline the eating disorder, to be honest with you. But for me, it really is being able to shape my body and look a certain way. And you told me the other day, that was yesterday maybe when we were going to lunch, that it's not necessarily about looking good. It's about what?
How I feel.
Yeah.
It's more, for me, the gym isn't about going because I'm going to try to lose weight and that's my focus. Mine is my mental health. Getting out of the house and spending 1 hour, whether it's yoga or I like to do some of the other different classes sometimes that they offer at the Y. That's 1 hour of me time. I'm focusing on just myself. Sometimes some of the harder classes, I'm focusing on how not to die during that hour because I feel like I'm going to throw up. But it's still 1 hour that it was just for me, for no reason other than to just get outside of my head for 1 hour and to focus on something different. And I don't know, it just it really does change my mindset. It really does help me to focus on something that's just for me.
Yeah. And that, I think that's really that is the key, right? When we're talking about, parenting and relationships, because, this show's just not about parenting, guys. It's also about relationships in general. And I think that if you're going to be successful, we always say this: put your mask on first before you put your kids' masks on, or your spouse's mask, right? Or your parents' masks, or your friends' masks, right?
Yeah.
And then what we're talking about is when you're in a plane and the plane is going down, and those little things drop down, bloop, the thing they tell you, make sure you put yours on first before you assist anybody else. And that really is something that you have to do, because if you're not right, you cannot be right for anybody else.
And nobody else is going to make sure you're right. Like, you're the only one that can be responsible for knowing what you need to fill your cup. And because, right, especially as parents, and not just parents, but
and trust me, I try to put Renee's mask on for her, and that doesn't go over well ever.
No,
Never.
I start to fight.
I
don't like other people to do things like that for me.
No.
And nobody else really knows how you're feeling or what you need.
Right.
And so, but it also too goes to, you have to be able to tell people no. You need to be able to tell your friends no, your children no, your spouses no. Hey, no, right now I just need
your
me
siblings
time.
no, your parents no.
Yeah, whoever.
Can't tell your job no, because if you tell your job no, you'll probably get fired.
Yeah.
But it is good. That'll be a whole nother show, guys. It is good to set boundaries at work too. But
but it really
don't get
is.
Fired. Don't. Hey, listen. Before the kids wake up, told me to do it is not a good excuse. Definitely don't tell your boss that I need.
I don't say no.
I need a pause break.
But I love to work. I'm a workaholic. So, but you have to know like what those boundaries are, and people are going to get mad at you at times. Like people are going to get mad when you say, "Oh, hey, I'm sorry. I know we had plans tonight, but I can't go out because tonight I'm just not feeling it." And it really is hard for me anyways, because I don't ever want to let anyone down.
Right.
And so I will go, I suffer through it, and then the next day I feel even more drained than I did before.
Well, you're going to get you're a bad parent, you're a bad friend, you're a bad son, you're a bad sibling.
Like, I can't believe you didn't come out for my last minute birthday trip. Well my brain wasn't there, right?
Even if it was planned.
Yeah.
And I think that at the end of the day, I always say this, right? You can call me a duck. You can say I look like a duck, I walk like a duck, and I quack like a duck. But at the end of the day, I know I'm a full-grown human man. No, I'm not gonna quack for you. I know I'm a full-grown human man, and then no matter of vernacular or conversation can make me a damn duck. Excuse my language. And so at the end of the day, you know who you are and what you're all about, and the people who are around you will fall in line if they're your true friends and family.
Well, and I think too, I've had those conversations with my friends where I've had to say, hey, I'm just not doing okay. And it took me a long time to get that, because I would never wanted to admit to other people that I was not doing okay.
Yeah.
And so, and I still, right, I don't say that.
Me.
Yeah.
Are you okay? I'm Ryan Gosling. What do you want? Screaming at you, like trying to figure out.
Well, sometimes we don't know. Sometimes we don't know.
I know. I always know when you're not okay. I always know when you're not okay.
Because I start to snap at you.
That's not even snapping. It's just that you literally talk a mile a minute about 5 different things all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
And I know when you're silent and quiet and you're in your little hole and you're not actually engaging me about plans that we have in 27 years. It's literally, I know that something is wrong with you.
Yeah.
And one of my issues with that is that I've always tried to fix that. Yes. I've always tried to get down to the root and the bottom of it, but at the end of the day, I need to leave you the hell alone.
Yeah, you got to let me work through my feelings.
And go take care of me, right? Go hit the gym, go play Xbox, go take the kids to the park, go have a guys' night out with a bunch of whiskey. Like it truly is something where you have to take care of yourself, and that's not the topic of the show today, but that's just something that we'll probably drive home every single episode, because you really have to put your mask on first before you can put on anybody else's mask. In fact, you shouldn't even put it if your kids' masks. You can put on because they're your responsibility. But you shouldn't be putting on the mask of a spouse or a friend or a family member. That is their responsibility, not yours.
Even kids, right? I'm not for when you're using it as an everyday thing. You still have to, if you are not mentally okay, you're not going to be able to properly deal with your child. And especially when I think of children and having breakdowns and things like that, right? I cannot be calm when they're having a fit to properly handle it if I am not checked in, because then I'm also losing it. Now we're all losing it. Now it's mass chaos. Versus if I'm doing what I need to do to be calm, and now, hey, you're having a breakdown, I have the emotional intelligence in that moment to properly handle that breakdown.
Well, and kids learn by example, right? So we should be teaching a kid how to put their own mask on.
Yeah.
and that's valuable. That's something that I don't think that our generation got. Millennials were screwed. We didn't get that from our parents, and that's not to say that our parents were bad parents. It was just it wasn't something that was addressed. It wasn't a focus back then, and they just did the best that they could with everything that they had. And so at the end of the day, we know now what we know, and at the end of the day, we've got to teach our kids to put their masks on.
And it's never too late. And I say that because our kids are 10 years apart, and the parenting style that I have now is not the parenting style I had when I had my son 17 years ago.
No.
You know, and so I do feel bad. And I've told him that. Him and I've had these conversations where I've said, you know, I'm different though now. Now I've had therapy. Now I know the differences and still trying to, like, you know, it's hard. It's hard.
And that's a good segue into our to our next part of the show. We often talk on this show, in fact, actually a lot, about our couples therapy. We love it. It's not couples counseling, as people like to call it. It is couples counseling, but we do it as maintenance.
There's a negative stigma, but it's not negative. We're not getting divorced.
We're not getting divorced.
What do we say? We always say, well, not today.
Well,
maybe
not today.
Tomorrow.
Well, she'll probably end up, guys, I say this a lot. If I wind up missing, she did it, and I'm buried in the backyard.
You can't say things like that publicly.
I know. I'm saying it right now.
You can't say things like that publicly.
If I'm missing,
I would never.
She did it, and I'm buried in the backyard.
I can't do it.
Because at the end of the day, if I'm not in the backyard, then, you know, then you didn't do it.
Yeah, except for you go out drinking with the guys, and I'm not even involved, and you could just stumble off and get lost, and now people are going to be looking and tearing up my backyard. You can't say things like that.
No, it's okay. Chill out. But anyhow, so one of the things that we talked about in therapy this week, last week?
Yes.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was last week.
I don't remember when it was about, you know, the way you handle your children it's important that we are looking at our kids from a level of what is a necessity versus what is a nicety. And I'm sorry, our therapist said that he coined it, but I'm stealing it. But I'll give you credit. You know, I'm not going to say your name because I don't know if you want it on the show, but a necessity versus a nicety. And one of the things that we've started doing with our teenager is natural consequences.
Yeah.
It's the idea that effort will be rewarded and a lack of effort has consequences. And so Renee, you tell everybody what we've decided to do.
I don't know.
Yes, you do.
Wait, I'm confused though. Wait, it depends. There's been so many things that we've decided to do.
So I'll have to edit this out. So basically, instead of doing everything for our son, who is 17 years old, we have decided to give into the idea that everything has a natural consequence. If you don't work, you don't have money. If you don't study, you don't get good grades. If you don't get good grades, you can't get a good job. And so the idea is that he is to a certain age now where he has the ability to do things on his own. Mm-hmm. And we don't have to be the full-on, hey, I'm going to buy all your clothes. Hey, I'm going to provide for all your food. Hey, I'm going to do all these things for you and you in this direction. It's now you are getting to the age of almost an adult. And at the end of the day, if we don't give you those tools and like give you this pre-life, you're not going to know what to do when you actually do get out there.
Well, I think what it is, this is very much about a us thing. More me even than Claude. Because so growing up, one of the things that we've learned is that when you grow up, now you become a parent, you tend to go the farthest opposite of how you were raised. Right. And so you start to overcompensate for how you were raised. And it's not always the best way to do things, right? And so, growing up, we didn't have a lot. We had all the necessities. My parents worked really hard to provide us everything that they had. But when I became a parent, I was like, my kids can be in as many sports as they want to be. They can do all the things that they want to do, and I'm going to take care of that, without me realizing that was so far to the opposite direction that it really doesn't help. They still have to earn these things, because if we allow our children to just be given everything without having to work for it or without having to earn it, they become adults who are just going to expect things to be given to them. And that's really hard for me. Yeah. Because it's hard for me to say, no, you can't do this.
Well, and we're raising a Gen Zer and a junior Gen Zer. And at the end of the day, that generation, God bless them, they are the generation that's more socially conscious. They are the generation that cares a lot, but they're also the generation that literally thinks that everything is just, it's like an instant gratification.
Yeah.
And instant gratification and things, the idea of hard work and even education is kind of obtuse to them, because they're like, oh, you don't have to do this. I can just go be a YouTube star and do whatever. You know?
Well, but don't you think that's part of the problem though too, is that with them, so for us, I mean, I know I'm a little bit older than you.
You're 2 years older than me.
The AOL, right? That all had just started, that ding ding ding, you know, the sign on, and all of that. It was so slow. Right. We didn't have, I didn't have access to the internet and to all these things when I was growing up.
But also that had a little bit to do with the fact that you were a little poor.
No, but it just started. AOL was like still a relatively new thing. Like I remember it being a big thing that my grandma had
Things
internet.
that mom are older than. AOL and dirt.
I remember because we didn't have internet at our house. We would go to grandma's because, and my friends didn't have internet for the long time. Like it was just slowly.
Go to the public library. Yeah.
Listen. Even we didn't have cell phones. The cell phones were permanently installed in cars. Like that's dating myself, right?
Are you talking about a CB radio?
No, we had those too. My grandpa had one of those. No, but now with our kids' generation, everything's on the internet. So it's easy for them to pick up and be like, oh, look at this person with their Yeezys and all. But they're not understanding everything that went in to earning that or to getting that. So I understand to an extent why there is this misconception as this instant gratification.
But I will say this though, that kudos to you, because we were challenged by our therapist this couple weeks to kind of take that hands-off approach of natural consequences. And you said something to him, and I won't be too specific, but you basically said, hey, you need to actually have a plan, because you're not taking the car that we bought for you. You're not going to have the amenities of this household if you don't make a solid plan for your future. Mm-hmm. And what was the result of that?
Hey, we're going to open houses.
Hey, we're going to open houses.
For school.
We're going to open houses for school next weekend. Mm-hmm. And so, and I want everybody to be clear. We're not the people that are, I would love for my kid to go to a 4-year college, do the whole shebang, because I think conventionally it is the thing that does ultimately lead to the best. But as millennials and Gen Zers will tell you, that it doesn't always lead to a successful life. There's a lot of,
you got to talk that back a little bit though, because I think you misspoke. No, trade schools are very big.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay, yeah.
I was going to say that I would like them to have that experience, because that experience for me was so great. But every kid is different,
right?
And I think, and the thing about pushing certain things on your kids is that if you know your kid is not going to do well in a 4-year university.
Right.
Also, let's explore the idea of a technical school, and that's what we are.
Which
doing
we're
now.
100%.
We're 100% behind that, because
and they make good money.
That was what we push. Hey, do your research and tell us
what do you want to do? What do you like to do?
What interests you? What can you see yourself doing for the rest of your life, or even the next 10 years of your life, until you find the next thing that you want to do?
And I don't know.
The next thing is not going to be on a stove.
I don't know about you. Well, so you got to go off to college, and you got to live on campus, off campus, but you got to live at college and all that. I never experienced any of that. So for me and my kids, from the time my son was born, I had a college fund. I'm putting money into his college fund because I wanted him to be able to experience what I thought that I missed out on. But that was a me thing. That wasn't a, oh, this is what I think everybody needs to do. I just was like, no, I want him to have the opportunities I didn't have. He'll still get that, at any technical school. But for me, that was always my, I want to move you into a dorm. So I guess it'll probably be in a first apartment.
Well,
instead,
we do have the
which
second.
Is fine.
We have the good news of having more than one kid is that you do get a redo.
A
do-over.
But once again, it's not
a second life.
But I think my point is that it's not about us.
Right.
It's about them and what do they want to do? What are they going to be successful? And as parents, sometimes we are forcing our own what we wanted.
That's true.
Instead of what they want, and there's this big there's a miscommunication, or not a miscommunication, but just
misconception that their future is our future, and it's not.
Yeah.
But I do believe that kids do push forward your legacy. that's how we live on after we die, is our kids going and doing something with their life. But at the end of the day, it is their life to do what they need to do with.
But I think that you can ruin a relationship between a parent and a child when you're forcing what you wanted for yourselves on your child instead of focusing on what is going to make your child successful, what is going to make your child happy. And because it's different for every child, for every person, even me, right? What makes me happy is very different from what makes you happy.
Oh, and that is quite a complicated thing.
Yeah, and so when your parents are treating you how they want it to be treated instead of how that that child wants to be treated, I feel like that's. But I mean, that's what I've gotten out of therapy, though, is that I am reflecting a lot of what I feel that I missed out on my children, and it's been a lot of work for me to reel back and realize they have their own, and both of them we teach them differently.
My thing is that I'm I'm sacrificing a lot. I should have a pool, a boat, not wearing 5-year-old Massimo Target shorts. I should have Gucci and everything. The way I work and the things that I do, I really should have a lot more in life, and I sacrifice as a result of my kids, because as a parent, I feel a duty to them. But a lot of that is because I didn't have a lot growing up as a kid as well. And so when they go off and they don't meet my expectations of what I wanted for them, it is disappointing. And that disappointment is okay. It's okay to be disappointed in your kids, but okay, cool. Let's
not disappointed in the kids. You're disappointed in their choices.
In their choices. Yeah. But you get through that point, and then you pull yourself up by your bootstraps and go, hey, well, how are we going to move forward now? What are we going to do now to rectify the situation so that you can have a good life and move on? Because once you get past the threshold of my life, you're no longer under my watch. You're on your own. It's your life to live now, and I no longer have consequences from what you choose.
Well, but don't you think too, it's about recognizing if you feel the disappointment, who is the disappointment really in? Is it their choices, or is it because they chose different than you?
That's
and
true.
You want it, you know what I mean? So
That's
it's
true.
not that it always comes back to this reflection. I think as a parent is when you start to feel some type of way about whatever your child is doing, is stopping and going, but why do I feel like this?
Right.
Little Renee would have wanted something different, and that's why. And we do that a lot, right? We've talked about this a lot in therapy. But is that big Renee, like parent Renee, or is that little Renee? And a lot of times it's little Renee. Little Renee is screaming for whatever little Renee wanted to have and didn't have, and then I overcompensate it as a parent. And yeah, and I think too, this goes to, you don't even have to have children, I think, to understand this conversation. You can think of it as your relationships between you and your parents as you're an adult. Because sometimes adult relationships with your parents is very difficult. Because you're still little Renee instead of being adult Renee and saying, no, no, this isn't how I feel, and this is how I want you to treat me. Whereas your parents continue to treat you sometimes like children, instead of respecting your adult views. And it's hard sometimes as an adult to say, no, I'm not a child anymore. Right. I'm an adult with real different views.
Right.
And different dreams.
Yeah. It's not hard for me. No. Well, I did get to that point with my mother where I had to be like, hey, we're both adults now. Mm-hmm. And, I didn't make the choices that you would have necessarily made in your life, but I'm doing okay as a result of that. Everybody's path is their path.
Did you feel, I always felt like a bad person.
Why?
I don't know. So I felt as if I was disappointing my parents.
To your parents?
Yeah. That's why when you use the word disappointment, that's a trigger word for me. Yeah. Because I would stop and say, oh, well, what would my parents want me to do? And not, well, what would Renee really like to do? Yeah.
And the thing about that, though, is the whole point of being a parent is that your kid does better than you did. And so you literally have a parent that starts here, then they have kids, they go there, and then those kids go there, and so on. And that's how you build a family legacy. That's how you build something, and so to me, our parents, our legacy are the great things that we do in life, and then we pass that on to our children, who pass that on to their children. Right. So if you didn't necessarily choose for me to do, because my mom wanted, I was going to be I was going to go to medical school. That was my thing. Go to doctor. I was good at science and math, and I loved it. But I also loved art and doing things like podcasts and audiovisual
being
things
creative.
Too. And I'd probably be 1,000 times farther ahead had that been nurtured versus the math and the science, right? But when you think about people who come from poverty, the idea is that I just don't want to be poor. And
Right.
unfortunately, a lot of artists and musicians live in poverty until they make it big, and some of them never do make it big. So
Right.
it's difficult to look at your child and say, hey, I want you to go do something that's going to be harder for you, versus, hey, let's do this. This is going to be something that you'll be able to be successful in, make a lot of money, and go on and kind of extend the legacy of our family. But the other thing that you have to look at it as parents is that this is not our choice. Like you said, it's not our choice. The idea of happily ever after, hey, go do this thing and you're going to be happy forever. Go find this person and you're going to be happy forever, this type of thing. It's just kind of a falsity, right? We set our kids up for failure when we tell them, hey, this is going to be the one thing that you can do that's going to push you towards, the rest of happiness of your life. Because what we have found out is that that's not true.
No. And I think too, right? We're guides. When you decide, I feel like you have this baby and you're like, oh, they're going to be the president or they're going to be all these things, but we don't get to decide any of that. We're here to be the guide, to teach them how to deal with things and to be productive members of society. Right. What they do with that is completely up to them. Right. And what your children do really isn't a direct reflection of you. It's not like...
It's not.
Don't get me
wrong.
What
do you often say? What Ted Bundy came from a very nice family where he was taken care of.
I don't think it was Ted Bundy.
Or one of your serial killer groupies.
Yes, I've had a few. That their parents get divorced, but they're not out. Like, there wasn't major trauma per se. And
I'm pretty sure somewhere in the line, somebody was like, yeah, little Ted Bundy. It's cool.
You're talking about John.
He's a little off.
Dahmer.
He's a little off, man. What's up with that kitchen knife set that he just keeps toting around? Kid might need a little psychiatric help. Nah, he's okay. He's just eccentric. No, I'm going. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. Go ahead.
You're so funny. No, but it's just parenting is difficult. And even, like I said, even if you don't have children, having relationships with your parents as adult is equally complicated.
Well, and what was the thing that you were watching before we started coming here? You were watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians, or what are the Kardashians, whatever it was calling, and they were talking about the mom. I guess they were blaming the mom for all the things that they have.
Yeah.
And keep in mind,
no, for their reaction, because they have perfectionism, and I think that was the thing, wasn't it?
Right.
It was perfectionism
and anxiety and all these issues, but yet this woman made them billionaires, millionaires, whatever they are. So the ultimate thing is that no parent gets by unscathed.
No, we all do.
Every kid's got to go to therapy and say, this my mom and dad did this one thing.
The perfectionism and the time thing is 100% going to be.
It's got me feeling this type of way. So I guess we do
the best we can.
We do the best that we can, but it is best to prepare your kid. That was our dog, by the way. You have to prepare your kids for what's coming, and you do nothing for them if you do everything for them and don't allow them a little bit of taste of life.
And I personally, I don't know about you, but I think one of the most important things is to help them to get through the tough times and for them to know that we are here to listen and to be here just
no matter how ridiculous, no matter how they try to convince you the craziest thing ever, the most outlandish lie. That's always my favorite thing.
What is your biggest fear as a parent?
My biggest fear as a parent.
Yeah, no, I mean, as far as failing them as being parents, not like what could happen to them, but like, what is because I'll tell you, my biggest fear is that my children feel as if they cannot come to me for when they're in those difficult times. That is my fear. I want them to always know that no matter how hard or how ridiculous of a situation they've got themselves into, that they can come to me, we can have a conversation. We may not be able to fix it, but we will do everything we can to help to guide them through it. And that is my fear, because I want my children to always feel comfortable.
They won't come to you.
Yeah, because they're going to feel judged or criticized, or like that is my biggest fear. And that is what I'm really trying, is to create a safe space that they can come to me no matter what.
I guess I don't really. When you said fears, I was thinking like somebody's snatching them.
No. That's a whole different set of fears.
And sometimes that's not even a fear. Go ahead and take them. No, don't do that. No, but actual fears for them ultimately when they become adults and things like that. I guess I don't have those because I know the upbringing that I had and the parents that I had. I mean, if I haven't shared this in my background before, I was raised by somebody who had a substance abuse problem. He was a drug addict, and I had another parent that was in jail for all of my life. And so I'm not in jail. I'm not a drug addict. I go to work every single day. I take care of my kids, and I try to do the best that I can.
You take care of your wife.
So I don't have any fears. There's no fears after that, because no matter what they come back and say about me, I know I did the best that I can.
Yeah.
So I don't have that fear. I do have certain hopes and dreams for my kids, and if they don't ultimately live those out, that'll be a little bit disappointing. But I go back to this: when I don't have kids in my household anymore, I will be relaxing on my boat in my pool and going on vacations with my beautiful wife.
Aww.
It may not be you though.
I swear. So next week in therapy.
Next week in therapy.
Note.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. So as I mentioned on the last show, we will start giving advice to people on the internet, and I have a good one, a really, really good one this week. The headline is, I want relationship advice about a boyfriend with 0 goals in life. I know. I'll just read it. So my boyfriend, male, 22, has no goals in life. In high school, he was valedictorian and even got accepted to UCLA and other universities with full rides. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But he turned them down because he was not able to do online learning.
Oh, no.
He says he's going back to an EMT program, but kept missing the deadlines to enroll in the course for the past 2 years that we have been together. He says he will officially start in August. He is currently working a part-time job at a department store for the past 3 years and is constantly struggling financially, where I am always paying for myself, but he never tries to look for better jobs. I have expressed how the lack of him striving for a better life by looking for better jobs or pursuing higher education is something I do not want in a partner, and I will leave him if he doesn't strive for better. Mind you, we both come from impoverished backgrounds, and I no longer want to live that kind of life. So that is why I'm here at UCLA and hoping to go to grad school. I also do not want a partner who does not try to fix their situation. I was raised with the value to pursue and become educated, and I got with him because he initially had the values too, but he clearly does not anymore. I want to be with a partner who at the very least has undergraduate level education, and when I brought it up to him, he says nothing else other than EMTing interests him. Lastly, I love him and he makes me happy, and other things like other than this one big thing, we are perfect, but I've been understanding and patient on his situation. I just do not know if I should uphold wanting my partner to have those similar values and actually leave him, or continue to be understanding with him and stay.
They're in their
20s.
In their
Hey, you have some experience with this, so
I do.
So go ahead.
Run.
You can start off.
I would say run.
Run, okay.
Run. So here's the thing. So who you are in your 20s really is different than who you become later on in life. I will say that, right? That you have room to change, but if I could do it all again, and some of my choices that I made is that you need to make sure somebody can match your energy and your drive. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with not wanting to go to college. I'm not even saying, to be honest, that there's not anything wrong with just having no drive. But if you are a person with drive and you match or try to have a relationship with somebody with no drive, it's going to end miserably, because you're not going to respect them. If you're working and always like, for me, I set a goal, I meet the goal, and now I have another goal. If I didn't have a partner that was equally setting goals, meeting goals, and we were moving in that same direction, I wouldn't have any respect. And I think, right, you and I work so well because of that. You and I both have equal goals. I say equal goals. We don't have the same goals, but we're both going forward.
We have the same ideals.
Right. We have the same ideas. We have the same
work
goals.
Ethic too.
Work ethic. We both know where we want to be, and we're both willing to work to get there. So and in prior relationships have had that difficulty, and that I want to reach for the stars, and they're like, yeah, but we're just good right here, which is fine for them. That's fine. But if you're somebody who wants more, you're never going to be okay with a partner who does not want the same things. I just feel like that's disastrous.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say just simply run, but I just simply ask you the question of, why do you keep giving this person so many chances to miss the deadline? Because yes, they're missing the deadline on the EMT training, but they're missing the deadline on life, your life. Yeah. So if you have this idea for your life, and again, we talked briefly about the idea of happily ever after. Maybe we'll do it the next show. We'll have a full conversation about it. But the idea that things are going to ever get better with someone who has no drive and has no ambition to do the things that you want to do, you're actually with somebody that's not compatible with you.
Yeah.
You're with someone that is going to constantly let you down, and what you're doing is you're setting yourself up for failure
And heartbreak.
and heartbreak.
And they may.
And you're going to end up resenting this person, and you're
Yeah.
going to end up supporting this person
Yeah.
because you're not going to have them in your house. You're not going to keep them, have them in your household. You have a job. You're taking care of things, and you're not going to also take care of them.
Yeah.
You're going to do that because you're going to want to make sure that your household is taken care of, but you're going
Right.
to resent that. Mark our words, you're going to resent that person.
And they may change later in life, but by
But they don't need to
then
be
the
with you.
damage is going to be
Right.
done, and it's really hard to come back from that.
Right.
I feel.
And also, you're 22 years
You're a
old.
baby. Yeah, they're so young at 20.
This is the time
You couldn't
that,
have told me that though. When I was
Right.
in my 20s, you could have never told me
I know,
that.
because y'all don't ever listen.
Yeah, I got married, my first marriage when I was 20.
Right.
So you're a baby at that age.
You don't even know who you are.
No,
In
I
therapy,
still don't know who
one
I
of the
am.
things in therapy that we learn is that you change every 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've been with this person since they were in high school, they were valedictorian in their high school, if we do the math on that, that's 17, 18. They're kind of around that 7-year mark, when things are not really.
Depending on what
Depending on
age
what age they
you
are.
met.
Male 22, where they're getting ready to start changing in life, and it's going to be different at 27. It's going to be different at 37. I'll tell you that. So the thing is that you don't want to spend your time with someone 5 years, 10 years, 25 years, and realize that they have the same lack of ambition, because you're going to resent them. You're not going to like them, and it's going to be not necessarily a waste of a relationship. It's a waste of your time.
Or what will happen is that you get married because you think that they're going to eventually rise to the
Change.
occasion. You have children together. They still don't change. And then now you have a child. Now they're still not working. You're working extra hard to support everybody. You get burned out. And now you're having to go through a divorce. And now you're doing it all on your own with the child. Like, it's just not, it's I don't know. That's really hard.
And you need more than just love, guys. I
Gosh,
cannot
yes.
stress this out more. You'll probably fall in love with 15 people in your life.
You think? I don't
Yes.
think so. I haven't loved that many people in my
You'll
life.
fall in love with 15 people if you're ever single. You've never been single.
I have been single.
Anyhow, you'll fall in love with a bunch of different people in your life. If there's more than love that needs to be in a relationship. Compatibility, idealistic match is key. Drive, having a idea for the future together is something that if you don't have that in a relationship, it's doomed. Because what you're going to do is you're going to expect this person to change over time, and they could change, they couldn't change, but why are you going to waste your time?
Yeah.
Let them go live their life and find the realizations that they have for themselves. Let them put their own mask on. You put your mask on, and you go do the things that you will need to do. And if you're meant to be, you'll find each other later on in life.
Well, and you have to have that conversation, though, too. Hey, this is where I'm going in life. I'm driven. These are the things I want. What do you want?
Right.
Are you driven? I think having that conversation is really important one, because they may very well flat out say, no, this is not, like, this is all I want to do for my life.
This is all they want to do.
And give them that opportunity then to say, hey, we're not on the same page
Right.
then. Because I never had those. I didn't realize, I don't think younger Renee ever understood having those important conversations about what do you want from life? Because let me be honest, I didn't know she's a lot more farther ahead than I am. I didn't
Right.
even know what I wanted to be. She's like in school. She knows where she wants to be, where she's going. I knew I wanted to
and
do
that can
better,
change too, by
but
the
I
way.
didn't want. Oh yeah.
You
It
know,
can always change,
so
yeah.
so if it's not this is the time to now reevaluate things in your
Yeah.
20s. 22 years old, you don't have your forever job yet,
Right.
or your job that's going to be your career. You're just getting through school. There is no reason to stay with someone who is not compatible with you. I'm not,
there are a lot of fish in the sea.
There are a lot of fish in the sea, and this could be your fish. Let them get their crap together first. You cannot be with someone when you're half of a person. You need to be
Yeah.
a whole, full person.
And they have to
who knows-
be a whole full person too.
Right, and you do too. Because what's
Yeah.
happening is he's chipping away at you.
Mm-hmm.
Chipping away at you and chipping away at,
Yeah.
at who you want to be and what
Yeah.
you want in life. And you need somebody who builds you up and not brings you down.
Because we were talking about this, I feel like, within the last week of that. If I don't love myself, how do I love you?
Right.
I have to love myself before I can love you and before I can help you with some of your issues. And don't get me wrong, you and I I personally struggle with that, loving myself, being confident in myself. I don't think you have quite that issue.
Right.
Not as bad as I do. So, I mean,
I love myself quite enough.
Right. But we work really hard at it though, too, right? When you say it's not just love, we're working hard.
Right.
We, trying therapy. We're having we do a lot of work, and it's freaking hard.
Right. And we're also married and almost 40. Well, I'm almost 40. She's well over 40. I mean, she's
I'm
40.
not over 40.
You're 22 years old.
I'm exactly 40.
This is the time to mess up. This is the time to experience things.
Wait, in your 20s or in your 40s?
20s,
Oh, okay. I'm
40s.
just making sure.
You can do it in your 40s. Hey, there's really no actual timeline, but I'm just saying if you're going to do it now. There's no reason. You have to,
enjoy, yeah.
There's no thing that says, hey, I'm 22, I'm going to grad school, and I need to marry this person that was a valedictorian at one point in their life. No. Let this guy go be an EMT and do what he needs to do in his life. You go be what you want to be, and if you guys meet up in the middle after the fact, you meet up in the middle after the fact. But if you don't, there's literally other people out there.
I think sometimes you're so afraid that you'll never find love,
or
right. You want to get, and I think as women,
there's 6 billion people on this earth.
But I think women, there's even more pressure on women because we have to have children by a certain age, and then if you really want to have a career, it's this balancing act.
Me,
and
there's
women,
no man pressuring a woman to have a baby at a certain time.
It's
That's
women.
All it's a self
it's
thing.
It's women. Yeah. I think it's changing with some of the newer generations right now. But I know for me, it was. No, you have to have a family and you have to have kids, and this is how you're going to be happy. And that's not necessarily the fact. Let me tell you.
Are you happy with your kids?
It depends on the day. But it's
called before the kids wake up.
Being parents is so hard.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. Don't get me wrong. I love it. I wouldn't trade my children for the world, and I don't take for granted 1 minute that I have a family and I've been able to have a family, because I know that not everybody does. So I don't want to take that away. But it's freaking hard. Nobody told me how hard this was going to be. Nobody told me. I thought once we hit teenage years, it was going to be easy. No, it's not. It gets harder, y'all. It gets harder. They say baby stages is hard. Nope. They're their whole person with their own personality and their own opinions. It's hard.
So female 22 who wrote in for this advice, you don't have kids yet. You're not married. Live your life. Do the things that you want to do and stop worrying about having to put on this man's mask.
True.
Let him put his own mask on. You put yours on, and you go do what you need to do.
I agree.
Well, so before we get out of here, I did want to leave y'all with one thing that we did talk about in therapy that I think was super important, and I'll leave you with this, and we'll get the heck out of here. Was that the idea of working yourself to the bone to have stuff and meet these thresholds and have things and one of the things that was pretty apparent to us that he said to us that I thought was a really, really good thing to think about was there's not a single grave site on this earth where you will read, I wish I had more stuff.
Right.
Everybody, when they're on their deathbed or when they're leaving this earth, always wishes that they have done more things and had more time to spend with people that they love and the things that they love to do. So make sure that that's a focus in your life, that you're focusing on the people that you love and the things that you love to do, and not just running the rat race to get stuff.
Yeah, right? that quality time.
Right, quality time. Like, hey, maybe even start a podcast with your wife. And hopefully she won't spill her mimosa on your control board.
Or maybe she will.
And
maybe you should have had a backup in preparation for when I did that.
A backup wife?
Piece of equipment.
Oh, okay. We'll see about both. All right, guys. I'm Claude.
And I'm Renee.
And this has been Before the Kids Wake Up. Before I get out here, make sure you like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Follow us. Our TikTok is amazing. We have a lot of great things on there. And Instagram. We're going to get out of here, guys. Y'all have a great
week?
Yeah, or whenever you're watching this. We're out of here.